Right now, we are witnessing a true crime against humanity. Xi Jinping's China and the World Health Organization are attempting something outrageous. They are trying to change the narrative of how both bodies responded to the coronavirus. They are both scheming to avoid the responsibility of now 114,175 deaths, but we won't let them, and you can help by just doing one thing. Don't be tricked. We are currently at the mercy of the deadly coronavirus pandemic that has put millions of lives at stake, and yet there is a grave cause for concern over the independence or political neutrality of the World Health Organization or WHO. Specifically its leadership, who have regularly demonstrated their bootlicking to the Chinese Communist Party. The latest example, of course, is a now viral video interview, in which a WHO senior advisor abruptly ends the interview when asked about Taiwan, questions Beijing despises.
Will the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Aylward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China.
Alright, dodging questions about Taiwan to please Beijing isn't a be-all or end-all, but it is indicative of a systematic problem within WHO leadership, a subservience to Beijing that comes at the expense of its stated commitment to healthcare for all. But what if it's not dodging questions about Taiwan, and instead dodging or ignoring critical advice from Taiwan that could have saved thousands of lives? As far back as December last year, the WHO refused to act on or publicize Taiwan's warnings that the new respiratory infection emerging in China's Wuhan could in fact pass from human to human. But in mid-January, despite accumulating evidence of patients contracting what we now know as COVID-19 from other people, the WHO repeated China's lie that there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. In a move that contradicts its slogan of healthcare for all, the WHO, at Beijing's command, then blocked Taiwan from participating in critical meetings to coordinate responses to the coronavirus, and even reportedly provided wrong information about the virus's spread in Taiwan, essentially condemning the Taiwanese people to death for the lack of first-hand information. Politics over people. But Taiwan, which at its closest sits a mere 81 miles from the origin of the outbreak, China, has a mere 388 cases. So it's safe to say that if the WHO had listened to Taiwan instead of groveling to China for some more pocket money and doing the regime's bidding, maybe many thousands of lives would have been saved. Taiwan still wants to help, and the world wants to listen, but the WHO still blocks the country from its organization. The organization that we cannot allow to be used as a tool by the Chinese government, the largest financial contributor, which gives 5 times as much money as obligated. And now we know why. People before politics. And when this is all over, China and its little sidekick must be held accountable. For those of you that don't know, the World Health Organization, or WHO, a body that promotes health for all, shockingly continues to block Taiwan from its organization and access to first-hand data despite the current pandemic. Taiwan is a country that sits a mere 81 miles from China, the epicenter of the outbreak, and yet impressively has just 298 cases as of the 30th of March. Taiwan then could share crucial information on how to manage the coronavirus if granted membership, a membership that potentially could save thousands of lives globally. So why are they blocked by the WHO? It's simple. China tells them to. Politics take precedence over people's lives, and none are more guilty than WHO Assistant Director General Bruce Aylward. Take a look at this.
Will the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Aylward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China.
At first, the epidemiologist plays deaf and pretends not to hear producer Yvonne Tong's question about whether the UN body would reconsider Taiwan's membership. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear your question, Yvonne. Let's move to another one then, he says before hanging up. When Tong called him back to ask again about Taiwan and its coronavirus measures, Aylward shockingly said, well, we've already talked about China. A controversial comment that flirts with China's stance that Taiwan belongs to the communist regime. Aylward has regularly featured in Chinese state media after he led a WHO mission to the country during the outbreak. He has repeatedly praised the country's leadership and at one press conference stated that if he was infected with the disease, he would want to be treated in China. WHO. Politics before people. President Donald Trump has yet again turned his attention to the failings of the World Health Organization and hinted that he will be holding talks about their US funding next week. During his White House press briefing last Friday, Trump slammed the UN organization for their handling of the COVID-19 crisis and letting China, quote, get the better of the argument. The WHO is under fire for their continued and unwavering praise of China, despite the fact Xi Jinping's regime suppressed information about the coronavirus and inhumanely delayed efforts to prevent its outbreak. Trump has also accused the WHO of being China-centric, while the CIA told White House officials that Beijing was feeding the WHO false numbers, a claim that holds water considering China's infamous lack of clarity. Regarding funding the WHO, Trump said, I don't like that. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think it's fair to the American people. I tell that to President Xi. I tell that to Dr. Tedros. We are going to be talking about that next week in great detail. We want to make sure money is properly spent. Why is the US paying $500 million a year? Why is China paying, this year, $42 million? The answer always turns out to be in China's favor. Trump said he was looking into the possibility that he would halt the United States funding of the World Health Organization for not having informed the world community on time about the threat of the coronavirus. In a tweet, Trump said, the WHO really blew it, for some reason funded largely by the United States, yet very China-centric. We will be giving that a good look. Fortunately, I rejected their advice on keeping our borders open to China early on. Why did they give us such a faulty recommendation? His comments prompted the Director General of the WHO, Dr. Tedros, to warn that politicizing the coronavirus will mean more, quote, body bags as the US death toll tops 22,000. A statement coming from the head of the organization that bans Taiwan from the WHO because of politics.
If you want more Tomo in your life, click the subscribe and bell button so you get notified when a new video is up. Thanks for watching Tomo News.